All right, since there's not much to do in Destiny 2 at the moment, why not make a video talking about every single broken meta we've ever had to go through and we've survived. Now, I might miss a meta or two here and there. Maybe they didn't last that long, or maybe I'm just stupid because I can't think of every single meta in the past 10 years. But, you know, y'all gotta cut me some slack, all right? I wrote it down on my phone here. Thanks to chat. It's backwards, so I don't know why I'm showing you guys, but here you guys go. And why not start with the very first meta that I personally didn't play because, believe it or not, I didn't really play Destiny 2 when it first came out because it wasn't the greatest game ever, let's be honest. The Urials Gift and Last Dance meta. Yep, it was double primary meta because when Destiny 2 released, remember, there were no special weapons. It was only 2 primary weapons and a heavy weapon. For some, I don't know what they were trying to do with that. I mean, some people were saying they were going for a competitive style game, which I thought was kind of BS because the game just was not fun at all. I don't have much to say. The only recollection I have of this meta is watching Pure Chill 420 back in the day, just using a sidearm and an auto rifle, and I think that's really about it. I didn't really enjoy the game that much for obvious reasons at that time. I'm not saying Destiny sucked.
Oh my man.
Yo, say walla, bruh.
What? Oh my god.
Say walla, bruh. All right.
Bruh. Yo, what are you doing? Why are you throwing water bottles at me?
I'm standing 2 feet from you.
Hold on. What?
How couldn't you hear me? I'm standing 2 feet from you.
Oh, it's because I'm wearing my brand new Raycon earbud.
Why'd you say it like that?
No reason. But what do you want? Why are you bothering me? I'm playing right now using my brand new Raycon earbuds.
Why do you keep saying that?
Because these are the best earbuds I've ever used in my entire life.
Well, clearly they're noise canceling because I couldn't hear you.
I know, it's awesome. I don't have to listen to your annoying voice.
What?
Nothing. Okay, please just take the water bottle, get out of here, leave me alone. I'm trying to game with my brand new awesome best earbuds ever created, okay? Just go, okay? Leave.
Okay.
All right, Shahan, where were we, my man?
That's right, you heard it right. This video is sponsored by Raycon earbuds, and these things are absolutely amazing. You couldn't really see it on my other camera, but here's what they look like. They're very sleek, very, very good looking, and they go into your ears very nicely. It also comes with an awesome charging case that gives you 90 minutes of playtime with only 10 minutes of charging. That's insane. And on top of that, it also comes with a protective case that I want to put on and show you guys what it looks like. And this is what it looks like now when it's fully built. It's pretty awesome. And if you ever drop it or whatever, it will be protected and you're good to go. One thing I will say that I've had trouble with other earbuds are the earbuds falling out of my ears. With these earbuds, I can shake my head around, go absolutely crazy, and they do not fall out. Obviously, if you go crazy enough, it'll eventually fall out like any other earbud, but especially if you want to go work out with these earbuds, they're perfect. My favorite part about the earbuds is that they last 32 hours on a full charge, and on top of that, they're inexpensive compared to the other earbuds out there. So make sure you guys go to buyraycon.com/walla to get 20% off the best earbuds on the market. The link will be in the description and the comments down below. Thank you so much to Raycon for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to the gameplay. And I think Mida Multitool was also in that meta. I could be wrong. Editor, do your research. Now, during the double primary meta, there was also some sort of like weird era where SMGs were pretty broken. The Ikelos SMG was really, really strong. I kind of want to fast forward through the double primary metas though, since honestly, nothing crazy really happened. The kill time was really slow and just, I don't know, man, like triple melee kills back then too. It didn't really seem like anything was too busted back then. It just seemed like the game was really slow. Also, this video might not be in the exact order. I'm trying to follow the order somewhat correctly, but there was so many metas at different times, it's gonna be hard. But next we have the One-Eyed Mask. Oh boy, you guys remember how fun this thing was to play against? If you don't remember or you didn't play Destiny back then, if you shot anybody with this helmet on, anybody, no matter how much damage it was, no matter how far away, they would get instant wall hacks on you. Live wall hacks on you. Editor, show some clips here on the screen. And not only that, the person who had wall hacks, if he killed you, he would get full HP plus an overshield on top of that for doing nothing, for just getting shot, which is actually stupid. We're you know, long past that. We're not playing that anymore, thank God. But that meta lasted for quite a while. People were using Ace of Spades with this thing. So not only would they have the radar up while scoping in, they'd have Memento Mori. They would also have an Ace of Spades that shot at 150 RPM with wall hacks, with an overshield. You were basically unkillable if you played Titan. People were very mad at that. And alongside the wall hacks from One-Eyed Mask, you also had a special perk called Stylish Executioner. Now this was pretty ridiculous as well. well. Now, it wasn't on the same level as One-Eyed Mask in my opinion, but it was still really, really good. And if you were a very precise player, you could take advantage of this what am I saying? You didn't even have to be precise. If you just knew how to aim your gun in the general direction, you'd be fine. And you'd also have wall hacks on everybody in the entire fucking map. It didn't matter if he was in Africa or right in front of you, you could see him. And if you continued to headshot them over and over and over again, you could stack the wall hacks, you could stack the invis. There was no cooldown at all back then, by the way. Just putting that out there. You could infinitely stack wall hacks. Next, we have some very powerful hand cannons. We have the Not Forgotten / Luna's Howl, and of course, we have the Last Word. These two weapons were borderline broken. If we put them in today's meta, I mean, I don't know. It would be absolutely insane if you look at it now. Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten had a perk called Magnificent Howl, which we still have in Destiny today, but it worked a little bit different. Actually, it worked a lot different. I don't know why I'm saying that. If you got 2 headshots in a row, the third headshot you got would do an insane amount of damage and had infinite range. So no matter where you 3-tap them from, they were gonna die every single time. The range stat did not matter at all. So what you had in your hands was a 180 RPM hand cannon that could 3-tap every single time, assuming you were hitting 2 headshots. Remember, I'm pretty sure you could hit 2 headshots and a body shot to clean up the kill. If you thought Not Forgotten was broken, man, buckle up for the Last Word. This thing was just stupid. I think it was during the One-Eyed Mask meta as well, so you could pair the Last Word with the One-Eyed Mask. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that was a thing. The Last Word, just like the Not Forgotten, could 3-tap, but the Last Word shot a lot faster and had practically the same amount of range. It had no recoil as well, and believe it or not, the Last Word was more broken on mouse and keyboard than it was on controller when it first came out, which is kind of funny to think about now since it's the exact opposite. The time to kill on Last Word hasn't changed at all, technically, because you can still 3-tap with it, but 3-tapping with it now is completely different. It's way harder. You can't scope in the gun because it bounces to the moon. But I'm telling you guys, as you guys can see from the gameplay, it did not move at all, and you had a constant 0.5 TTK that was very easy to use. It was easier than SMGs. Now, while this was broken, this was probably my favorite meta in Destiny history, maybe besides DMT. Yes, it was extremely broken. Yes, it was stupid, but man, was the Last Word fun to use. I still think about it, and I still wish you could use it to this day. I know we had a Last Word era for like 1 week when RDMs came out, but I'm telling you guys, scoping in the Last Word and being able to shoot that far away, it's just a feeling I'll probably never get in any other video game again. Next, we have the Recluse and, of course, Mountaintop. I don't remember Recluse being super overpowered in PvP. I could be wrong. I think the perk itself, Master of Arms or Strong Arm, whatever the it was called, editor, what, I don't know, put it on screen. I remember that was pretty broken, but the Mountaintop was extremely stupid, and people, oh my god, the amount of complaining I remember hearing from people was ridiculous. The Mountaintop not only instantly detonated as soon as it hit the floor or just touched anything, it would also one-shot anyone that got hit by it, and it also traveled in a straight line, no matter what, even if you were in the air. It was insane. I don't have too much to say about it. It was a grenade launcher. It one-tapped. It did some insane stuff. It was broken in PvP. I don't remember if it was broken in PvE back in the day. It probably was. But just think about a grenade launcher that blew up instantly, even if you were point blank. It did not matter, and it was very accurate. And it did a lot of damage too. It got nerfed in terms of blast radius. All right, some of you old heads out there might get scared by this one, so just get ready. The Felwinters Lie, okay? I probably scared a lot of you guys with that word. If you guys forgot about that thing, well, let me show you again. This thing had quick draw and opening shot. And before you say, oh, quick draw, you know, what's so good about quick draws? Quick draw used to be extremely broken as well. I want to say there was a quick draw meta because honestly there was. It used to give you 100 handling forever at all times with the gun in your hand and your asshole. It didn't matter. You always had 100 handling, and it was absolutely insane. And not only that, shotguns in general were absolutely insane. You were sniping people across the fucking map no matter what. You were doing so much damage, and it's crazy to think about back then how we thought shotguns weren't that good. If we knew how bad shotguns were going to get back then, I think we all would have had a heart attack. And if we're talking about special weapons, fusion rifles were also insane. We had people sniping with the air intel. I don't want to say there was a fusion rifle meta though, because honest to god, fusion rifles have been good the entire time. Shotguns and fusion rifles have always been good, so there wasn't necessarily a shotgun meta or a fusion rifle meta, but I'm just showing you guys how broken Felwinters was trials back then, it was ridiculously strong. Next, we have the Anteus Wards. And I remember when these first came out, there wasn't that many people using them at the very beginning. But as soon as people realized, wait a second, I'm literally immortal with this thing, everyone started using it. And not only that, the benefits you got from blocking bullets back then were insane. So the way Anteus Wards work now is if someone shoots your reflective vents, aka the exotic perk, not to be a nerd, but I'm trying to call it what it is, your entire class ability gets drained, which is a pretty fair trade-off. I mean, you get to survive quite literally anything in the entire game, and it only costs you your class ability. But back in the day, you could proc the Anteus Wards. You didn't have to have your class ability up. You did not need anything. You just needed the Anteus Wards, and you were good to go. You slid, you got the reflective vents up, and you were quite literally invincible, unless the game glitched out and you died. But not only were you invincible, back then, anytime someone shot your reflective vents, you would get super energy. So that means people were getting supers in the first 2 rounds of trials just because of how strong this was. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, Anteus Wards also gave you more slide distance too. So you got more slide distance, you were invincible every time you slid, you got super energy every time you got shot, and you were on Striker Titan with Knockout Punch before it got nerfed with extra range. That was fucking stupid. I don't know why my fist is here. This exotic probably made a lot of people quit the game, and respectfully so, this was pretty stupid. This was arguably more broken than One-Eyed Mask. Maybe. They were both pretty ridiculous. Back when Stormcaller Warlock was unironically meta, because you could switch exotic pieces back in the day and not lose your super energy, so what people would do is they would play on Chaos Reach, and back in the day, if you sprinted with Geomag stabilizers after you had 3/4 of your super, you could charge your super instantly as long as you were just sprinting into a wall. So what people do is they would wait the entirety of the round in trials, because back then, remember, there was no zones in trials. You would have the full 2 minutes of the round to wait for your super, and then the zone would spawn in after that. And I'm telling you, I remember playing against people like this because they wanted to win this badly. They would third peak on Warlock with Geomag stabilizers, wait until they had 3/4 of their super bar, and then start sprinting into the wall and Chaos Reach you. And they would do that the whole game. I'm not joking. That was probably one of the worst metas ever. All right, next on the chopping board, we have probably one of the most broken metas to ever exist in Destiny history. We have the Stasis meta. Yep. Some of you guys loved it. Some of you guys hated it. Personally, I was kind of on the fence because I was on Hunter, but I wasn't using Shadow Dive because my ego was too big back then. But if you didn't play during the Stasis meta, consider yourself a very lucky person, honestly. You avoided one of the worst metas in gaming history. The thing with Stasis meta is there was a lot of broken stuff in it. I think every single class was objectively broken as besides Warlock. I think Warlock might be the only Stasis class that stayed relatively the same and actually got buffed later on because it wasn't as crazy. The main reason why Stasis was so broken was because of the Stasis crystals. They did so much damage, and if you just used a Glacier Grenade on Hunter with Shadow Dive, you were getting a free kill every single time. And I mean a free kill. And that's if you only got 1 kill. There could be games and trials where you're in a 1v3 situation. There's a Hunter sitting on, in a corner somewhere, and you and your entire team decide, hey, it's just one noob Hunter. Let's just all run at him and kill him because that'd be a smart play. But back then, it wasn't a smart play. You actually had to let the Hunter be and respect him, because if you all pushed the Hunter at the same time, he would throw his little Glacier Grenade or, big ass Glacier Grenade at the floor, Shadow Dive, and kill all of you. And it didn't matter if you weren't close. It did not matter at all. The game didn't care back then. You were dead. If you saw the Glacier Nade in your vision, no matter how far you were dead 100%. Shiver Strike back then was also extremely strong, and also on top of that, the little slide melee that Titans used to do, editor, please put a clip in, was really strong as well, because again, the crystals were doing so much damage. And also, I forgot to mention, on Hunters, the shurikens used to headshot people. So you were doing around 90 damage per shuriken, and if you threw 2 shurikens at someone, you would instantly freeze them. And back then, I know shurikens now don't seem insane. Even being able, if you could headshot people with shurikens now, it wouldn't sound insane because you're not really hitting them very often. But I'm telling you, the amount of times you were hitting people with shurikens back then, it was ridiculous. It was harder to miss someone with a shuriken than it is to hit them now. So you were doing some insane amount of damage per shuriken. You would freeze them with 2 of them. Your slow dodge was also freezing people too. It was insane, man. It was not a fun meta to play at all for a lot of people, and I understand if you quit the game during this time because it was genuinely broken. Now, during this meta, people were using 120 RPM hand cannons. This is when 120s started to take over a little bit. I actually have gameplay on my channel. Right. It was the true prophecy. That was the very first 120 I started using. And that's back when 120s were able to 2-tap with rampages because they got buffed back then. So it was kind of like a 120 RPM rampage stasis meta back then. It was pretty crazy. Now we're starting to enter the metas that honestly were broken and not fun at all. I mean, genuinely no fun at all. I want to talk about the Renewal Grasps meta now. This meta didn't last too long, but it was so broken to the point where I do have to mention it. Thankfully, the meta didn't last too long. So the main reason why it was broken was if you threw a Duskfield grenade with these gauntlets on, and if you had the stasis resistance artifact on the hunter class, you would have an insane amount of resistance to the point where you could survive a headshot with a chaperone. You could survive a headshot with a sniper, if I remember correctly, which is insane. And remember, this is just from throwing a grenade at your feet. Now think about it. This was back in Trials, and I think Zone Trials was introduced back then as well. So people would go on the zone in Trials, throw the Renewal Grasp at the zone, and sit in the zone. They were unkillable. And I know you could just say, oh, you know, wait the grenade out. But what if people were using 3 of them with 100 discipline? Then what are you supposed to do? Wait for it? The round's over. So that meta was ridiculous. Again, thankfully didn't last too long, so it didn't ruin the game for me too bad, but I still have memories of that thing, losing games to it. If you weren't using it, you were cooked every single time. Okay, the next couple metas I'm gonna name here kind of happened all at the same time. We have the Arbalest and Lorentz driver meta, the Bubble Titan Peacekeeper meta, and Lord of Wolves Invis meta, and Kepri Sting as well. Let's just throw that in there. So all of these combined together were kind of happening at the same time. The game, this is where it started to take a weird turn because it wasn't like this was as broken as Stasis. It wasn't broken as One-Eyed Mask, but it was still so unfun because of how insane the abilities were and how insane the weapons were. Arbalest and Lorentz driver, the amount of aim assist controller players had with this thing were insane. You could pre-fire around walls and you could not do anything unless you were using it as well. Bubble Titans with PKs and SMGs, we remember this like the back of our hand. The amount of time this meta lasted was insane. And of course, Bubble was so broken back then too because it charged faster than every other super in the game. Zone Trials was a thing, so you just plopped your bubble on top of the zone, boom, free round right there. And PKs and SMGs with target lock was absolutely broken. Again, it wasn't that long ago, so we already know how insane it was. Lord of Wolves Invis Hunter. Invis Hunter to this day is still broken in my opinion, but Lord of Wolves, oh my God, it would snipe you and people would just come around the corner Invis, no reaction to it at all. You would just get decimated. And people were going Invis with the Lorentz driver, with the Arbalest again. And on top of that, people are going Invis with Kepri Sting with the Arbalest and Lorentz driver, giving you wall hacks with a linear fusion rifle. It was absolutely insane. And then now we move forward to today's meta. You know, we had Prismatic not that long ago. We had Bolt Charge not that long ago. I think the Prismatic meta lasted around like 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. It wasn't an unbearable like Stasis meta was, but it was very strong, letting you do some crazy stuff. Again, it wasn't that long ago, so I don't have to talk about it too much. But the main issue from it was the fact that you could slow dodge and have a clone, and the clones were super broken. They went ahead and nerfed the clones, and that was about it. Guys, I think that's basically every single meta I touched up on. There might have been a couple things that I missed, like 600 RPM autos and DMT and stuff like that. Maybe a couple weapons I missed out on, but if they weren't like genuinely breaking the game, I probably am not going to mention them too much because either they didn't last too long or it honestly wasn't really that big of a deal. But yeah, that's basically every single meta in Destiny history that I recall. If I forgot something super broken, please put it down in the comments below and I'll pin the comment. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.